Hey Fungies, it's Steffi, and this time we are designing for Kim Possible. Yes, it is one of my most favorite cartoons whilst I was growing up, and the theme tune is a bop. And actually this design was decided by you guys on my Twitch streams. And one of the Fungi community members said, Steph, you know what, why don't you start designing for 90s cartoons or 2000s cartoons? And I was like, yeah, sure, like what do you guys suggest? And they said, let's start off with Kim Possible. And so here we are. So the first thing we always do when I get a brief or get an idea is a mood board. So let me just show you what we came up with. Of course, the actual character, she is really cool and sleek. And when she's not being a spy, she is pretty goofy, but when she is in her zone, she is very cool. Color palette, we're talking about the black top with the khaki green trousers. I didn't notice this before, but she has gray gloves. So taking this all into account, you know that I am not simply just going to remake this outfit as it is. I am always going to add some Chinese influence into it and add a little bit of streetwear fusion because that is just my style. So I looked for styles that I quite liked, that are a bit more modern, and that we could potentially incorporate into the final outfit. So once this was ready, I moved into Clo, and a portion of this was designed on Twitch live with you guys. So thank you to anyone who came to my live stream. And if you guys have not come to one before, they are on Wednesdays at 9 PM UK time. And I really had a hard time with the trousers. And this was because I kept using different avatars. Like I wanted to reuse a pair of trousers that I designed before and just like copy and paste it onto my current avatar so that I didn't need to redesign trousers from the start. But I soon realized that avatars with different height properties, width properties, it just all became a little complicated. And it's kind of like in real life, if you were trying to fit someone who was a small to a medium or a large to a medium, like because they're different sizes, it's not gonna fit on the same person in the same way. So then I had to make a call. I was like, damn, I was really happy with this avatar, but since these pair of trousers, I've like tailored it to this certain avatar, I'm gonna just switch the avatar and make this easier for myself. I felt like the style really suited the character, which is why I was so adamant in bringing that trousers in. And then I got to the top and I was thinking, okay, I could simply make a plain top with like sleeves that are a bit shorter, like a 3/4 sleeve, but yeah, that would just be boring. As I said, I didn't want it to just be a copy and paste from Kim Possible itself. I wanted to add a bit of my flavor. So I decided to make the top a little bit more interesting and go with this sort of style. I actually do not know how to describe it. It's got like 2 long straps at the bottom from in the front and back. And then moving on to the gloves. Well, I already made gloves like a few years ago. And let me tell you, gloves are not fun. They are really not fun, in my opinion. Like anything to do with like hands in 3D, fingers, feet, like toes, like anything to do with that is notoriously annoying because hands are quite intricate in comparison to like, let's say hips or to like arms, which are quite tubular. Whereas fingers are, there's 4 fingers, 1 thumb, right? But you have to cater for like the fabric not touching each other in between the fingers because the program in Clo or like Marvelous Designer, anything that is too close, if the polygons touch, then we got a huge problem. And so to counter that, you would have to really decrease your particle distance, and that means it will take longer to simulate. So there's just a lot of like technical issues. And once I did, I tweaked it so it fitted on a hand, and then I realized that the design just did not fit the brief. I wanted to simplify it a lot more. And lastly, I added the bag because I could see in a picture she would have this sort of like fanny pack to have all her gadgets and tools in. So I decided to make that and basically make my own version of a fanny pack of what I would imagine she would use. And so the outfit turned out like this. Once I was happy with that, we moved into Substance Painter for the texturing. Now I already knew the color palette. You know, with the color palette, it's already predetermined by Kim Possible. We had the black top, the khaki green trousers, and of course the gray gloves. But where I took a little bit of creative liberty was the patterning and like the motifs on the top. So I decided to add a few swirls, a few floral accents, so that it could mimic what you would typically see in Chinese embroidery. And I also feel like it gives like a textural detail, which it wouldn't have had before. And this itself took a long time because I was there like manually rubbing things out and drawing things in and just like making sure the design looked good. I could have added a lot more detail on the trousers, but if I'm honest, I felt like since the top has so much detail, it would have been too much. You know, there's like a certain balance you need when it comes to adding all of these textural details. I didn't want to add more onto the trousers because I felt like it would distract us too much. So now we head into Cinema 4D and I am ready to build the scene. With most of my projects, I always start with like a basic dome light and, you know, a few area lights just to get some basic lighting in. I always set that base lighting first before I start building the scene. And then with the 3D scene, I really wanted to keep it simple this time. Kind of let the outfit be the star of the show and just be the focus. But what I did play around with is different poses and Daz. Because Kim Possible, she is a super spy and I just felt like having a walking pose just didn't do her justice. So I created a few different poses with her like running and sort of fighting stances, and I thought that was a lot more fitting for this character. And after the 3D scene was built and the poses were done, I rendered the piece and brought it into After Effects for compositing. And this is where I do all of the color correction and sort out the timings for the shots to reveal the outfit at the end. So this is the final piece. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like it embodies Kim Possible, but it's definitely, you know, it's got the Chinese heritage coming through in the Chinese culture. Feel free to suggest what cartoon character I should design for next. Let's keep in touch on Patreon, Discord, and Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video.